Thank you for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. I am your co-host, Sarah. I am joined by Tate, of course. We have a great show planned for you today. In segment 1, we will be remembering Bill Walton, the life and legacy of Bill Walton. Segment 2, we are covering Game 4 of the Boston Celtics versus the Indiana Pacers. Segment 3, we're moving on to Jim Harbaugh and some new revelations in a recent book. Moving off of sports in segment 4, oddities in the news, mariachis versus fire breathers. I'm going to leave it at that. And then stick around for segment 5 when we'll be doing dating disasters. Always a fun conversation. As we get started, I would like to ask, as always, that you like and subscribe to the show. Also, we do get a number of questions and comments that come in during the show. If you would like those read on air, we would be happy to do so. In order for us to see those, though, if you go to gsmcpodcast.net, you can leave a tip or a donation, and that puts your comment at the top of our list, ensuring that we will see it and we can then read it and comment on it during the show. Again, that link is gsmcpodcast.net. Good morning, Tate.
Hello, Miss Sarah. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay this morning. How about you?
Excellent. Okay. So, giving everyone a little behind the scenes with Sarah and I. Sometimes we'll do a walk and talk about what's going on in the morning. So we'll do our like morning walk instead of a normal production meeting. So we did our walk. And I'm getting old, everyone. I am tired and sore from a walk.
Now, in your defense, we live in an area that has a lot of hills, and we
have some steep hills. This is no ordinary walk.
On our walk today, so yeah. In your defense,
yes, I was going to say these are no ordinary hills. It's not for the faint at heart. Let's just say
it is not. And again, in your defense, I'm also a little stiff. If I sit too long and I stand.
It just shows you're old. That's all it does.
I'm making old lady noises whenever I stand up. So
wow, that is hilarious.
It's what happens. So other than that, you're doing okay.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we got an interesting day of shows.
We
today.
do. Let's go ahead and get started. As I set things up, we'll be talking about Bill Walton. As I said, the life and legacy, as he has recently died. The sports world does mourn the loss of Bill Walton, a towering figure both on and off the basketball court, who passed away at the age of 71 after battling colon cancer. Walton's journey from a red-headed deadhead leading UCLA to 73 consecutive wins and 2 back-to-back national championships in the early 1970s to his pivotal role in the world championship teams with the Portland Trail Blazers and Boston Celtics captivated fans and inspired generations. Walton's impact transcended statistics and accolades. Despite facing a debilitating stutter for the first 28 years of his life, he emerged as an Emmy-winning basketball analyst for ESPN, showcasing his profound love and understanding of the game. In a candid interview, Walton reflected on the transformative power of learning to speak fluently, citing it as his greatest accomplishment and a journey of overcoming shame and self-consciousness. Beyond basketball, Walton embodied the essence of a Renaissance man, engaging in discussions ranging from philosophy and literature to his great love for music, particularly the Grateful Dead. His vibrant personality and penchant for tie-dyed t-shirts infused broadcasts with color and character as he shared anecdotes and references from his beloved band. Walton's impact as a player was equally profound. As the hub of John Wooden's UCLA Bruins, he propelled the team to unprecedented success, including an 88-game winning streak and 3 National Player of the Year honors. His legendary performance in the 1973 National Championship game against Memphis State, where he scored a record 44 points, remains etched in basketball lore. In the NBA, Walton's career was marred by injuries, yet punctuated by moments of brilliance. From leading the Portland Trail Blazers to a championship under coach Jack Ramsey to revitalizing the Boston Celtics as a 6th man of the year, Walton's resilience and determination shone through adversity. Off the court, Walton's activism and social consciousness were evident. He engaged in political protests against the Vietnam War, stood in solidarity with his Black teammates, and spoke out on civil rights issues, reflecting a commitment to justice and equality. Walton's legacy as a basketball icon and cultural influencer is enduring. His impact transcends generations, leaving an indelible mark on the sport he loved and the lives he touched. As the sports world pays tribute to a true legend, Bill Walton's memory will live on in the hearts of fans and admirers worldwide. And I just got a tiny little bit teary on that,
Great man.
Can I just say before you go I so enjoyed reading about his life. He was such a colorful character, and the quotes were my favorite. So I just took one. And one quote of his was, "Come on, that was no foul. It may be a violation of all the rules of human decency, but it's not a foul."
I think about, like, when I heard he passed, the first thing popped in my head is when he's talking about Shaquille O'Neal, and he's like, "Throw it down, big man, throw it down." So that's what made me think.
Such a character.
Yes. Okay. So it's kind of weird to this whole situation and the reaction from talking about Bill Walton. I'm a kid of the 80s, which makes me a little older than most of our audience. And I'm a huge Laker fan. I was also a Dr. J fan as well. And Bill Walton was with the Boston Celtics and Larry Bird, and it was either you were a Laker fan or you were a Celtic fan, but you couldn't be both.
As a kid, I didn't pay attention to basketball, but I knew that.
Yes.
I knew that you were either like Larry Bird or
Magic Johnson.
I knew that. That's crazy.
So Bill Walton was with the Celtics. I was never a big fan of his. As a kid, you're not as informed as you are. So it's like this old guy, he's all broke down. He has all these injuries, and they're raving about how great he is. And I'm like, Magic and Worthy and Byron Scott and Kareem. That was my court. And as I got older and Walton retired, and then I started learning more and more about him. And the guy that played against my team that I wasn't a fan of, I slowly started becoming a fan of, to the point where it's just like, man, I love Bill Walton. It's like awesome seeing Bill Walton covering the games, like I was just talking about, like throw it down, big man, and all the weird things he used to do, and all the the tie-dye shirts. And when I found out he passed, it was incredibly sad to me, because I look at him as one of those guys that really loved life. And you could see that he loved life, and he was living he was living his best life. There's very few superstars in the world. Most superstars are defined by their basketball career. Yes, we're celebrating Bill Walton, a player, but we're more celebrating Bill Walton, the man. As we think about him, I think more about Bill Walton and how he loved life, how he loved the Grateful Dead. He used to talk about the Grateful Dead and his standing up against the Vietnam War and standing up for civil rights. Even backing some of his back then, it wasn't like it is now, where players are very tight. It was either teams weren't friendly, but Walton still was a big supporter, just like Kareem was, for civil rights in the Black community, and never was apologetic about it. He stood on what was right. And that's what made me respect him so much. And then just seeing him just have so much fun, covering the games, talking about the games, and things like that. And you look at a guy that was known originally as a basketball player. I don't think of him as a basketball player. I think of him as a great personality. His life was bigger than his basketball career. Now, his basketball career was no joke. National championships in college, NBA championships in the pros, part of the 50th anniversary team, the 75th anniversary team, one of the all-time great big men. And he did all of that. And even when he passed, I don't think about him as the basketball player. I think about him as this great man who loved his family and lived like a larger than life, life, just in general. So I just thought that was, something to say about Bill. When you're covering sports and someone passes, sometimes you don't really want to cover and talk about someone passing. But with him, I kind of felt like it's only right to talk about a great man who did so much and so inspirational to so many. Go ahead.
I just the fact that he overcame a stutter in order to be an ESPN announcer, because to be an announcer on ESPN during games, that's so fast paced, and to overcome that kind of difficulty with speech is really impressive. I saw a quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't have it in front of me, but he said something like English was his fourth language after stumbling, bumbling, fumble. It's something along that line. But to me, that's impressive.
It is, because as a matter of fact, by the time I started watching him, he's a lot older than me. And so he had already worked through the whole stutter thing. So I didn't even know that he had a speech impediment or an issue until after he passed. That shows like how impressive this guy was. Sometimes you see athletes that just overcome impossible odds, and he's definitely one of them. You could have easily ended things with great basketball player. That's the start of his. When you start talking about him, you start off with the basketball player, and then you go into who the man was. And the man was, in my opinion, greater than the basketball player.
I'm sure there's going to be many, many tributes going throughout this whole week as people remember him and his legacy in the basketball world. So we are going to wrap up this segment. When we come back, we'll be covering Game 4, Boston Celtics and Indiana Pacers. I know Tate has some thoughts, so stay tuned. You are watching the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.